the beast from beyond. In this video, we are going to talk about the Venom X, how to obtain it, how to use it, and how to upgrade it. Now, you're going to need power and Pack-a-Punch operating before you can start work on the Venom X. If you need a refresher on how to do those, there is a link in the description below with another video detailing the process on both of those. You will also need double Pack-a-Punch in order to upgrade the Venom Y to the Venom Z. I'll throw a tutorial in the description for the double Pack-a-Punch as well. Now, when you're setting up Pack-a-Punch, I would recommend not stepping in the portal right away. The reason for this will be evident in just a few minutes here. One last note before we start. If you're playing on mouse and keyboard, listen up. Go into your actions keybinds. Your next and previous cards should already by default be bound to up and down arrows. You're going to want to make sure use souvenir is tagged to your left arrow and toggle kung fu mode is tagged to your right arrow. This isn't a controller issue if you play on controller. This makes one of the first steps much less of a headache on mouse and keyboard. With that out of the way, let's get started. So the reason I told you not to step in the Pack-a-Punch portal is because the first time you leave the projector room, the game will always spawn a phantom, and we actually need a phantom for this first step. Now you're going to want to take this phantom over to the electric trap, this room with all the water on the ground, and you want to damage the phantom with the electric trap. You don't need to kill him with the trap, you just need to make sure he gets hit by it. You'll know you've done this correctly because in the communications room, there will be this panel that is open and sparking on the wall, and inside you should see multiple buttons with multiple colors. We don't need the phantom anymore at this point, so go ahead and kill him. Now let's look inside this fuse box. There's going to be a random number of buttons that changes every game. Now this puzzle does get a bit complex, so I'm going to link a tool in the description that basically solves this step for you, tells you exactly which button to press. I will be explaining a couple methods on how to solve this puzzle without this tool though. So you should know that you can trial and error this. If you press one of the wrong buttons, a phantom will spawn in and you will have to wait until the next round, but you can try again and just hit another button. I'm going to be stealing this cheat sheet made by TheDrShow on YouTube. They have a fantastic video on this step as well. And before this cheat sheet, people had to literally do algebra for this. I'm not kidding. Regardless, you're going to look inside this fuse box and you're going to write down a couple of things. First, our X number, as we call it, which is basically just the amount of buttons inside the fuse box. Self-explanatory. In my gameplay, I had 5, as can be seen here. W is a bit more complicated. W is going to be a series of 6 numbers, and we're basically going to write down how many buttons of each color are in the fuse box. If a certain color is missing entirely, we'll just write 0 for it. So the colors you're going to look out for are as follows: red, green, blue, blank, or black, yellow, and white. So my W value ended up looking like this. I had 1 red, no green, no blues, 1 blank, no yellow, and 3 white. Finally, we need an S value, and the S value is just the number of different colors we have in our fuse box. I had 3 different colors visible here, so my S equals 3. With these pieces of information in mind, let's look at this lovely cheat sheet here. We first need to find the section that corresponds to our X number. Mine was 5, so I'm going to be looking at this section of the document. We're basically going to go through all of these C1, C2, and these are true or false statements. We're going to keep going down the list until we find which of these statements is true, and that should tell us on the cheat sheet which button to press. And you'd go from top to bottom on this. Let's use my fuse box as an example here. The first statement reads, all of W is less than or equal to 3. Adding my W numbers together, I got 5, which is greater than 3, which means C1 is false, which means I would need to move on to C2. The condition for C2 is there is 1 white button and there is more than 1 blue button. Now I have a white button, but I do not have any blue buttons here. So this statement is also false, which means I move on to the third line. C3 reads, there is no red button and W equals 4 or 2 and S is less than 4. Now I don't have any reds in this fuse box, but my W number is equal to 5, not 4 or 2, which means this condition is also false, which means I move on to the last line, which simply reads button 1. So I hit the top button, button 1, and that would complete this step. Again, a bit complex, still not as complex as the algebra. There is a tool in the description if you just want to fly by this step, but if you're like me and you want to try and learn and solve stuff on your own, then there you go. This is a much easier way to do it than algebra. Once you've solved this step, you want to head over to this computer over in the communications room. Now you're going to want to lure a zombie over toward where it says 666 on these lights here, and you want to interact with this monitor. The zombie should get sealed inside this containment chamber. This will effectively hold the zombie for 5 minutes. This will also give you ample time to do what I call the maze step. You want to head up these stairs past bomb stoppers, and you should see 3 terminals here. You want to first interact with the middle terminal. It'll say something like hold to bypass super user privileges. Once you do that, you'll notice some funny shapes on the other 2 monitors. Now these terminals are going to have mazes on them. Your goal is to walk up to these terminals. You need to get this red square over to this blue diamond. If you're on controller, you use the D-pad. If you're on PC, this is where the arrow keys come in. Now the only caveat to these mazes is the walls obviously are invisible, and if you hit a wall, then the zombie will die and a phantom will spawn, and you'll have to wait for the next round to cycle through. On the screen here, I should have all of the maze solutions. So what you want to do is just look at the position of the square and the diamond and line them up to whichever maze is in your game, then follow the line around. The tool I mentioned earlier also has the maze solutions in there as well. Once you do a few mazes on one of the terminals, you'll move on to the next one and solve the mazes on that terminal. Once you've gotten all of them solved, you should hear a completion noise, and downstairs a door should open next to the panel with the button puzzle that we solved. And inside is the Venom X for free. The Venom X will fire a single detonating projectile, which does damage on detonation, and it also releases this poisonous mist, which deals damage to those that are inside. You can right click or hit your aim down sight trigger to detonate the projectile early. If you want to upgrade the Venom X, it's not just as simple as throwing it in the Pack-a-Punch. Once you have the Venom X though, we can start basically right away, and we're going to be listening to some Morse code. So by the Bang Bangs machine, once you get the Venom X, you should notice these 2 terminals turn purple. There's one below the stairs, and there's one to the right of Bang Bangs on this balcony. You want to head up to the terminal next to Bang Bangs on the balcony, and you want to listen to the Morse code. You really only need the first sound. If it starts with a short tone or a dot, your key phrase will be Archer. If it is a long beep, your key phrase will be cross. Now don't worry, I say key phrase, but we're not going to be playing with ciphers. We have a tool that will basically translate everything for us. You at this point just need to know if you have cross or Archer. The Morse code at the bottom terminal will read differently depending on which one of these ciphers you got. Once you have your keyword, you want to go to the bottom terminal by the stairs, and you want to listen to the Morse code. Okay, so if your keyword was cross, your message will start with this. If your keyword was Archer, then your message will start with this. After this sequence of dots and dashes, you want to listen for what comes after. It's going to give you a number, basically. My keyword in my gameplay was cross, and I ended up with 25 as a number. Once you have your number, you're going to want to go up to this computer by the bomb stoppers machine. There is a red button on the left and a red button on the right. The left button will play a short dot, and the right button will play a long dash. You're going to want to enter in the Morse code for the number you just received, depending on which keyword you're using. For example, my number ended up being 25 in the cross keyword, so I would enter this into this terminal. Here's all the numbers that you can get, and here are the Morse code combinations you need to push in. Now, there's no penalty to getting this wrong, so you can trial and error this and try different numbers if you didn't catch the Morse code number being read back to you. Also, side note, the containment chamber is still operational and can be used during this step. Once you enter in the correct number, you should receive a sound. It's the pickup sound, as if you're grabbing something like a backpack. At this point, if you hold tab or whatever your inventory button is, you should notice a percentage by your Venom Y. What you need to do is you need to take your Venom X, you need to kill cryptids with it. The number will correspond to whichever number you got from the second Morse code terminal. So for example, I had to kill 25 cryptids. It can be scouts, it can be phantoms. Now, if you don't want to wait for a special round, you can cheese this by using the Pack-a-Punch portal over and over again, because you'll basically always get cryptids whenever you jump out of the portal. So I ended up locking a zombie in the containment chamber, then I hopped in the portal, immediately hopped back out, waited to get jumped by scouts, killed them, and then just rinse and repeated. It's a bit of a process, but it's better IMO than cycling a bunch of rounds waiting for a special round to show up. Once you hit 100% on this Venom Y meter, you can take your Venom X into the Pack-a-Punch room, and you can Pack-a-Punch the Venom X into the Venom Y. The Venom Y has an upgraded poison mist, which not only damages zombies, but slows them down. Very good stuff. Now, there is one more level we can upgrade this thing, and for this upgrade, we are going to need the double Pack-a-Punch set up. So if you don't have the alien fuses charged already, you want to do that by the time this step is over. This step is very similar to the Venom Y step. We're going to first look for a keyword with this terminal by Bang Bangs. The keyword will always switch. So for example, I had cross last time around, so this time I'm going to have archer as my keyword. You're going to listen to the bottom terminal again, and you're going to get a number. This number could be different than the number from last time. My number in this video was 18. You go back up to the machine by bomb stoppers once you have the number and enter it into the machine with these buttons, and once again you'll have a completion sound and a percentage by your Venom Z in your inventory. This number now is going to correspond not only to cryptids, but special guest zombies. So this can be anything from clowns to the ninjas. Cryptids work just as fine as well. Kill the required amount of special zombies with your Venom Y. You're going to do this until your meter for the Venom Z reaches 50%. Once you're at 50%, head outside by the Pack-a-Punch. You want to head up to this terminal here. If you interact with this terminal, you'll cycle through different time periods, different years. You'll get like 1980, 1970. You want to cycle it until you see 1950 on the terminal. Once you do this, you should start seeing little black darting objects out of the corner of your eye. They're little black fuzzy guys, and they have green eyes, and they dart around a lot, and they're really mean. They can hurt you, so you don't want to dawdle with this step. You want to head right in front of the Pack-a-Punch portal, and you want to shoot them with any sort of weapon, but it's got to be in front of this Pack-a-Punch portal. You want to shoot these little fuzzy guys with the green eyes. Again, you'll need to shoot the amount that corresponds to the number you received in Morse code. Once your Venom Z number hits 100%, you can head inside the Pack-a-Punch room. If you have double Pack-a-Punch unlocked, then you can upgrade your Venom Y into the Venom Z. This is the zenith of the Venom series. You got your explosion damage, you got your poison mist. The mist now slows zombies more, and it does more damage. This thing, at its max potential, is extremely potent and extremely useful. It's fun as hell to use. An arduous process for sure, but I believe the reward to be well worth it. So if you ever want to play with the Venom X and the Venom Y and the Venom Z, here you go. If this video helped at all, let me know in the comments below. I would like to give credit to TheDrShow for their cheat sheet. I didn't see a credit on this tool for the other steps for this weapon, but if I find the author, I'll throw them in the description below. I wish you all luck on this weapon and this map, and as always, stay cool, stay safe, stay frosty.